Pups chowing down on corn on the cob could mean only 1 month. Well, it could mean more than one. Well, anyway, it's August, and August traditionally is corn month, and boy, it has not disappointed this season. We have over 90 ears of corn in the freezer, and that doesn't include what the pups are chomping on right now and what we've been chomping on all through corn season. It's just been delightful. You can see from here that the corn is done with, especially this end. The Silver Queen doesn't look quite as brown, but it's all done for too. I mean, there might be an occasional sort of unpollinated ear that's not going to do anything. That's about all that's left, and you have to look pretty hard for that. But just a tremendous corn season, and thanks to the excellent help I'm getting from Vanina in the garden, I was able to put up 90 plus years, like I say, in the freezer, and I've never had that much stuff going on. This is the throwaway row that I talked about before, where I just had extra seedlings that I planted, and we actually got edible ears of corn out of this row, and we're getting winter squash too. That's a little acorn squash, and I showed you the ones that are kind of climbing into the tree outside the garden. That's another winter squash variety. These are chives, always neglected this time of year because there's so much else going on. But they are looking fine and extremely edible. And they are the pups. They are totally preoccupied with their huge ears of corn. Anyway, on to bed number 2. We've got tomatoes, and tomatoes. Let me tell you about tomatoes this year. It's just been incredible. Vanita just went through and did the harvesting, so there's less than there were showing here before, but we've just been having, again, a bumper crop year, and I'll show you the orange ones when we get over into the furthest bed. But we've got 6 gallons of tomato sauce in the freezer and another 4 gallons on the stove right now as we speak. Meanwhile, these artichokes, I'm pretty sure I've kind of haven't given them enough room or sunlight because there's still no buds. The plants look very healthy, but nothing in the way of buds, and that's where the actual artichokes form. So we'll give them more space next time. Meanwhile, peppers has been another fantastic season. Those were Goddess that I just showed you. These are orange Numex, and there's just oodles and gobs of them everywhere. These are Carmens, which maybe have started to slow down a little bit, but they're still got a lot coming in there, as you can see there. And eggplants have done really well, but we have a strange phenomenon here, at least with these eggplants on the end here, and they just sort of, something got to them. I don't know if it's a disease or a bug, but they just sort of got all droopy. Now we've still got some nice eggplant coming in, and the eggplants on this end seem to be a little bit healthier than the ones on these ends, but I don't know. Anyway, we've been having fine grilled eggplants all season long, and these are the original first planting of broccoli, which are still producing an abundance of side shoots, all edible, except for when I don't harvest them in time and they get inedible like that there. But they just keep coming, and so I just left them in there and planted the next round of broccoli someplace else. These are just where the cabbages were cut off, and they're not really heading, but they're creating all these cabbage leaves. I suppose they're edible. Maybe I should try and do that. Like, as in eat them. This is kind of the fall garden here. This is 2 trenches of peas. One's a sugar snap, and the other one's a, oriental pea pod. And then we're trying spinach again. Every time we've tried spinach, we haven't had much luck, but hope springs eternal. So that's a row of spinach right there. And these are the brassica seedlings that made it. When I started them, they didn't really do too well. A lot of them just sort of died off for some reason. So that's a mixed row. There's some broccoli, some cauliflower, and some cabbage in that row. Now there's a lot of these little weeds which we'll pull out eventually, but in between there is another row of brassicas. This is what the heck are these? I don't even know. I can't read the label. Okay, so anyway, that's something. And then these are something over here too. What the heck did I get? I think I got broccoli and a cheddar cauliflower. So that's what those are. And then I also planted a row of lettuce, and I believe, if we look really closely, that's probably what these are. It's a pelleted seed, so I won't have to thin them so much. But I think they're starting to come up. So that's kind of the fall garden. And out here in the sort of sitting area, you can see that winter squash have sort of taken over the place. And speaking of winter squash, there's it's a Waltham butternut that's starting to get ripe. And by ripe, I mean turning a tan color. Here's another nice winter squash that is out here right in the middle of the sitting area. I think this might be a turban kind of a winter squash, and then right next to it is a vine of Waltham butternut with one coming in right there. Now, this you don't usually see in the August garden video, but some of the vines just died off on some of the pumpkins, so there was no reason to leave them on the vine, so I harvested those and just stuck them here on the sitting bench. But we've got winter squash sort of just wherever they feel like. And then there's a pumpkin that's sort of climbed up in the supports for one of the container tomatoes. So, we've got all kinds of things going on. Now these container corn did finish. I had a few of them and they were tasty, but most of them I ended up letting that be kind of dog corn, and they really liked them. Nice little ears. Now we've got a few fine melons, but as you can see, the melon patch doesn't look so hot right now, and I don't know if there's any hope for those ones that are left out there, those little tiny ones. About 2 weeks ago, all of the melon vines just suddenly died off for some reason. I don't know why, but sometimes that just happens. But we got at least a half a dozen, maybe more, good melons, and just had one of the smaller ones today, and it was just as tasty as the big ones. And then you can probably see in there flashes of dark orange and light orange and green and tan. This is pumpkins and winter squash, and we've got quite a good yield of stuff out there. But like I said, we did have some vine die off, so I pulled the pumpkins where the vines were obviously not growing anymore, but we still have quite a few hanging out there. You can see that cluster of pumpkins right there, and we still have a lot of healthy vines. In fact, look at this. We got one pumpkin that's just starting there, still bright or dark green, which means it's relatively new. But there's a nice shaped and colored pumpkin still on a greenish vine, and then our one I think it's called Giant Easy Grow. Didn't get very giant, but it's a good sized pumpkin and still looks healthy, so that's good. Now, that brings us to bed number 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why I have such a hard time figuring out what number of beds these are. These are sweet potato vines that are climbing up here, nice little blooms. I don't know what the blooms do because all the sweet potatoes are underneath, but this is the Beauregard sweet potato bed. Looking pretty healthy, although we have had some rodent intruders, so I'm a little concerned about that. If you can see there, you can probably see that they've chewed off a bunch of the sweet potatoes, so I'm just hoping that there are enough left over for a good harvest. This is the summer squash, and we do have summer squash coming in, but like I mentioned before, it's been really kind of a slow summer squash year, mostly I think just because of where they're planted. There's a pretty nice zucchini there, right there. So we're still getting summer squash, but usually you're like, we're overwhelmed with summer squash, and that certainly has not been the case. Beans, pole beans, also slowing down dramatically. You can kind of see that the leaves have been chewed up a little bit, but we got a pretty good crop, and now the limas are starting to come in. This is one that's gone far enough that those will be good dried lima beans in there. This is a lima bean that isn't quite ready yet. You want them to get more like, I saw one in here too. That's getting close, but it's this one here. That's kind of close to the ultimate in lima bean, because it's sort of leathery, sort of yellow, and the bean inside is, whoops, I just picked it. Well, that's good. Is soft and tender and nice. So that's the best time to harvest lima beans. So we got a fair amount coming in. That brings us to bed number 6. This is the second planting of radishes. We haven't pulled any yet, but looks like we've got a few respectable ones there. We took out all the lettuce. We've pulled quite a few carrots, and there are still quite a few out here. I think maybe I need to do some pest control for carrots, because they get eaten like this one is right here. You can see that right there. They get chewed on, and I've never sprayed or anything for carrots, so maybe it's time to. Meanwhile, kohlrabi, what is this guy doing? Looks like we snapped this guy off and forgot to bring him inside. Yeah, we snipped him right off and left him right there on the ground, so I'll take that inside. Anyway, these guys are doing great. These are Cossack, and they can get huge. I mean, like 10 inches across. But I've been pulling them before they get that size, because I think the optimal size for taste and texture is more like this size. So I've got a bunch of those inside, planning to slice and blanch and freeze them. And then this is the second sweet potato bed. These are mostly white yams, but I do have some Beauregards planted in here, like I said before, when I had some vacancies. And that's Jessie emerging from the marigolds, which are in abundance as usual. Then this is stevia, and it's doing fine. Nice big bushy plants. They say when it starts blooming, that's when you harvest it, and we haven't seen any blooms yet, so there they still are. These are the orange, chef's orange tomatoes, and most of them are green right now because Benita did an excellent job in harvesting them. But the very healthy plants, and at least 5 feet tall, maybe even a little bit taller than that. and they've been producing well all season. Now down here we have touch-tone gold beets, a very nice beet. If you've watched previous years, I've cut one open for you, and they're just they're a golden orange colored beet, and taste just like the regular beets, but they don't overwhelm everything with their beet redness. If you know what I mean. I don't know if I'm really phrasing things very well tonight, but you understand what I'm saying. Meanwhile, all the broad leaves here are loofah gourd vines that I planted in between the leeks, and I finally found what a loofah gourd looks like, and that's one right there. Don't eat it, Jesse. No. Apparently when that gets mature and dries out, it's just like a loofah that you would use in the shower, and that's why I bought them, just for fun. They are vining quite profusely, and these are, I think, what amounts to male flower clusters. So hopefully we'll get at least one real live loofah out of this whole thing here. And there was another one over here someplace, but I can't really locate it right now. Meanwhile, they're sort of taking over the leeks, which are in here, and I haven't harvested yet. I probably should pull them pretty quickly if I want to use them, or else they'll get beyond peak. But in general, everything's doing pretty well out here. Here's a nice long shot of the garden. Still, although we are definitely past peak now that the corn is pretty much done, we're still very active out here. And I've got some things to show you outside the exterior, so we'll do that right now. I think I'll just pop out there rather than take you on. No, I'll take you on a walk, because maybe I'll have some footage to show you in the meantime while we're walking out there. I know I have some like balloon footage. Maybe that would be good. I haven't taken any recent aerial footage, but who knows? Maybe I will before I get this all published. Oh, Frankie is complaining. All right, so we're out here in the Dill Atlantic giant realm, and we do have some giants, and they still are doing okay. They're covered with these towels just to keep them from ripening too quickly. By that I mean turning orange and hardening, because you want them to be soft and yellow so that they keep growing. And so they look kind of spooky here under these white shrouds, but you can see that's a pretty good size pumpkin there. Anyway, and I also, measured these guys today, and right now I've got 3 big ones, the biggest of which I haven't shown you. I probably won't be able to show you very well, but there's a new guy that just came in recently, and he's looking fairly healthy, but he's awfully late to amount to anything. The biggest guy is that guy right there, and he comes in at somewhere around a little under 300 pounds at this point, so that's not too bad. Not as big as my 550 pounder back in 2010, but if they hang on, they're way behind schedule from the other times that I've grown giant pumpkins. But if they make it to maturity, they'll be nice pumpkins. And I'm just showing you some of the winter squash that's planted out here, because I think we're going to discover that we have a pretty nice crop of of winter squash underneath all the pumpkins. But you can kind of see it's still an impressive patch, although there are a lot of leaves and vines that are not looking good. I mean, leaves that look like that and that and that and that are no good, but then there's these other leaves and vines that look just fine. So anyway, we're hoping that the 3 remaining big ones hang on and make it to Dill's Atlantic Giant Neverland, which is like getting big and orange and weighing several hundred pounds. And the reason we're still walking is we're coming out to the mini orchard because we're having a heck of an apple year. Those are Red Delicious, and as you can see, they are just all over the place and looking very, very fine. And we even have kind of a boatload of Granny Smiths, which is very unusual. It's very hard to get the Granny Smiths to come in, but we have a lot of them. Some of them are kind of small, but we're getting close. And then we have peaches. Now peaches, what you do, you have to check them, excuse me, every single day. And you check them by doing this. You just twist them a little bit back and forth, and if they fall off in your hand, they're ready. And if they don't, they're not ready. And we've had a few as recently as yesterday, but it doesn't look like any are ready today. But I thought I'd bring you guys out here and we'd try it anyway and see. But you can see they're pretty nice looking peaches. Unfortunately, this is going to be the last season for this peach tree. It's just, you can see all the dead branches. It's just not, it's not going to make it. The other peach tree, I'm trying this last one here, and it seems like it's so close, but nope, it's not coming off. So I'm not going to force it because you want to leave them until they're really ripe on their own if you can, because then they just taste stupendous. And these are white flesh peaches, which are particularly sweet, I think. Anyway, back to this tree. You can see it's all bent over, and it's only got a few branches that are producing. So I'm just gonna have to take that out. I'll leave these 2 apple trees here, and then I think hopefully next spring I'm gonna replant some peaches, possibly nectarine. I like nectarines, and we'll plant them further away from those apple trees because they kind of got crowded out by the apples, and they never really got pruned correctly. You name it, it was working against them. But anyway, that brings us back to the garden proper, much to Frankie's delight, who has been complaining. You may have heard a few complaint barks. But they've finished their corn for this evening. I've almost finished my wine for this evening. There's a melon that shows promise, but I'm hoping it'll turn a little yellow rather than green, meaning that the sugar is coming up to the surface. But I have a tendency to do that. When I lift up the camera, I give you that nice shot there instead of my beautiful countenance. And that's going to do it. This is August 2015. We are now officially past peak in the garden, but we are still having a great year. Oh, I failed to mention where the fall garden is that I showed you, is where the onions and the potatoes used to be. We got a good 40-50 pounds of potatoes all told. I think I might have some stills of that. Maybe I showed them to you already in the times where I probably lost your attention while I was rambling and walking around. And I can't remember the total poundage of onions we got. It wasn't a huge harvest, but it was good enough. And so we'll call that a success. And now we got our little fall garden going there. And summer, much to everyone's chagrin, is winding down. We actually had our first heat wave last week. It very well could be our last, but sometimes it does get hot in September too, so we'll see. But we're like almost on the last week of August 2015. This is Marvin Gardens, and again, hope you guys are having a great summer, and you're going to have a great Labor Day, because that'll be long past once we do the September garden video, and that'll be coming up next. So from Marvin Gardens, August 2015. We'll see y'all next month in September. Bye.